What would you like to know, sir?
Let's start with the title.
Okay. The title of the show is By Ross Bay, and I titled it that because we recently moved by Ross Bay, and all the work in the show but one piece was made by Ross Bay. And many of the assemblages which appear in the show I find are linked to standing at the lookout over Ross Bay at night, looking down at the water. So there's a bit of a literal reference in the abstract works. Yeah. Yeah, well, the abstract work comes from other things I've been doing, like the shopping carts were my first real, I don't know, exploration of the grid. So I wouldn't have been able to make these pieces without making the shopping cart images first. And I've been making assemblages since the early 90s, usually with metal. So the same sort of applications apply to make it successful for me. Well, I frequent garage sales and I'm always collecting things to use in my assemblage, and there was a cheap bucket of hockey pucks at a garage sale, so I bought it. And it sat around for about 6 years. And I was making a three-dimensional box piece, much like a Joseph Cornell, but I needed some legs. And I looked at the pucks and I thought, why don't I just cut them in half, because they'll look like little wheels on the bottom if they're glued on, right? But when I cut it, it was like the initial look at the surface of the cut, and it looked like burnt wood to me. So I just kind of lived with that for a few days and related it to my shopping carts and laid them out in a grid. And so they've been evolving. At first they were really flat, and I thought that was what my sort of first notion would be, was to make very flat surfaces so that they looked like paintings. There was an illusion. But then I just found that it was much more complicated and interesting to do a surface with texture. So then I started to just glue them down in variations and really focus on the composition. And now I'm actually working the surface after I mount them as well. So it's become a, rather than a cut, clean, glue process, it's become a cut, clean, glue, and then recut process. So it's getting more and more complicated, and the textures are more interesting, and they're less flat. They're much more, the headspace involved with them is is similar in some ways to my paintings, but quite different. It's another level for me. I'm really happy with them because they're not only, for me, beautiful and dark and textural, but there's something there for people, I think, because they're made from hockey pucks. It gives them like a little something tangible to try to relate it to.